Banks are shutting down and closing people's accounts, including checking, savings, debit and credit cards, without warning or explanation. Imagine waking up and not being able to access your money. You can't buy food, you can't pay your bills, rent, mortgage, your car, nothing. And when you miss those payments, you're hit with late fees, interest charges, and a ton of other headaches. Well, this is actually happening to some people right now, and it could happen to you too. So I did some digging, and in this video, we're going to talk about why banks are shutting down and closing people's accounts out of nowhere, and more importantly, how you can protect yourself and keep your money safe. Now, the truth is banks can close your account for a bunch of different reasons, but one of the biggest is suspicious activity. Scams have gotten way worse over the years, so banks are super careful now. They've got automated systems watching your account 24/7, and if something looks off, it gets flagged. For example, some things that could trigger a red flag include suddenly moving a large amount of money, like, let's say $10,000 when you usually don't, depositing or withdrawing a lot of cash, using crypto exchanges or gambling websites, or signs of identity theft like weird logins or activity that doesn't match how you normally use your account. If the system sees anything sketchy like that, the bank might freeze or even close your account to protect themselves from any legal or money issues. But the problem is these systems aren't perfect. They sometimes flag regular people like me and you who haven't really done anything wrong. For example, people on TikTok have shared stories of their accounts being closed just for depositing a big bonus check from work or taking out and putting in cash a little too often.
So they decided to close my account again. During the course of ongoing monitoring, we identified concerning activity on your account. So I'm assuming what they mean is I pulled out a lot of cash.
To make things worse, once the bank closes your account, it could take weeks to get your money back. So in the meantime, you're pretty much stuck. You can't pay bills, buy groceries, or pretty much do anything with your own money, which is ridiculous. And if they close your credit cards too, it can totally mess up your credit score and make it much harder to get approved for new credit cards, loans, or even low interest rates in the future. Pretty crazy stuff, but don't worry, I'll show you how to protect yourself from this in a little bit. Anyway, another reason banks might close your account is if you don't use it. If there's no activity, no deposits, no withdrawals, pretty much nothing for about a year or so, depending on the bank, they might just close it. This is usually mentioned in the fine print, which most of us skip, but basically banks don't want inactive accounts because it costs them money to keep them open. Your account can also be closed if you're not making the bank any money. Banks are businesses, and like any other business, they want to make money. If you're not making that money, like through fees, loans, or keeping a lot of money in your account, they might just close your account, especially if their expenses are going up. But one of the craziest and least talked about reasons banks close accounts is because of something called de-risking. It basically means they'll close your accounts if they think you're too risky or might hurt their image. That could be anything from crypto trading, running a cash-heavy business, sending money overseas, or simply just being super outspoken online like Andrew Tate and Kanye West. There's also been rumors about banks closing accounts for political reasons. For example, in 2023, JP Morgan was accused of closing accounts just because of someone's religious or political views. However, there's no solid proof of this, and honestly, even if a bank did close your account for these reasons, they probably wouldn't ever admit it. So let's go over a few simple things you could start doing today to protect your money and avoid getting your accounts closed. 1. Keep an eye on your account. Literally, if you ever see a weird transaction that you didn't make sure to report it right away so your account doesn't get flagged for suspicious activity. 2, use your account regularly. Try to use it here and there to pay bills or, to make small purchases like a sandwich or a coffee. That way you keep it active and avoid any problems. 3, avoid high-risk activity. Things like sending a lot of money to other countries, depositing a bunch of cash at once, or doing lots of crypto transactions. Although there's technically nothing wrong with these things, they could get your account flagged. So if you can minimize or avoid them altogether, it might help. 4, keep good records. Save receipts, invoices, and emails, especially if you run a small business or you usually send money to other countries. That way, if something gets questioned, you've got proof that your transactions are legit. It also helps the bank with institutions that are more business or crypto friendly if that's part of your day-to-day. 5, have backup accounts. Don't keep all your money in one bank. Have a second account at a different bank or a credit union. That way, if one account gets frozen, you're not completely locked out of your money. 6, I know it's boring, but read the fine print. Every bank has different rules for things like inactivity, bank account closures, or what they consider risky behaviors. Some banks shut things down much faster than others, so it's good to know the rules. 7. Customer service matters too. Pick banks that are easy to reach and actually help whenever something goes wrong. You don't want to be stuck with a chatbot when your money's on the line. 8. Think beyond banks. It's a good idea to keep some emergency money outside of your bank just in case. A good rule of thumb is to keep around $1,000 at home for emergencies. So if something bad happens, like, I don't know, a storm or the power goes out and you cannot use your credit card or your debit card or even go to an ATM, you'll still have some cash on hand. You could also look into putting a small part of your money into maybe precious metals like gold or silver. They usually hold their value pretty well and can even go up over time. So if you ever need cash later on, you can sell some. Plus, since they're physical, the bank can't really freeze or take them from you. Just make sure to keep them somewhere safe. With that being said, don't go overboard and take all your money out of a bank. Banks are still super useful and offer FDIC protection up to $250,000, so your money is safe up to that amount. On top of that, some banks offer great interest rates on checking and savings accounts, so your money could potentially grow instead of just sitting at home doing nothing, or worse, potentially getting stolen. Lastly, know your rights. If a bank ever closes your account, they are obligated to give you your money back unless there's a legal reason to hold it. Doing these simple things now can save you a lot of stress later and help you stay one step ahead. So I put together a free checklist with extra tips to keep your money and bank accounts safe, plus a few ideas on where you can keep your cash for much better returns and peace of mind. You can download it by using the link in the description. Now, the other rumor going around is that banks are shutting down. However, that's not true. Banks aren't going out of business. They're just closing some of their physical branches. According to this article, over 320 U.S. bank branches are set to close in the first 13 weeks of 2025. We're talking big names like Flagstar, TD Bank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and U.S. Bank. For example, U.S. Bank is closing around 40 branches. According to filings with the OCC, Wells Fargo is closing 49 and Flagstar tops the list with 52. Now, the reason this is happening is because most people don't go into branches anymore. They use online banking or mobile apps instead. In 2019, 53% of people still use branches, and by the end of 2024, that number dropped to 45% and it keeps going down. So banks are focusing more on digital banking because more people prefer banking online. Plus, closing branches saves them millions of dollars on rent, staff, and utilities, so it's technically a win-win for them. But what's sad and honestly concerning is that many seniors still rely on traditional in-person banking. Think about someone like your grandma or an older neighbor who still goes to the bank every week to take out cash or ask questions. They might not be comfortable using apps or websites, so these changes can be really stressful and confusing for them. But even for those who just prefer in-person banking, this change could be a bit of a learning curve and kind of annoying depending on your situation. The good news is these branch closures aren't happening overnight. We have a long way to go before everything is fully digital, so there's time to get used to it. And hey, since banks are saving a lot of money on rent, staff, and utilities by closing these branches, maybe they'll use some of those savings to give us better benefits like no account fees, higher interest rates, and extra perks like many online banks already do. That's actually why me and many others have switched to online banking. So if these big banks want to go fully digital, they better step it up and offer the same kind of value. My advice, start getting comfortable with online banking now so you're not playing catch up later. But what do you think about all of this? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, you're gonna love my free personal finance newsletter where I share easy tips on saving money, paying off debt, investing, improving your credit, growing your money, and much more. Just click the link in the description to join us today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.